Hi, Davide here, and welcome back to my channel, The Impertinent Collector, where I get to share with you the items that I collected since I was 8 years old. If you remember from the previous video, I share with you how I acquired my precious to me, Ivory porcelain coffee cup. And it is in Japan that I would like to stay for this video. Japan, what an interesting country and what a fascinating culture. Unfortunately, I only got to visit Tokyo once. I was there on business for a week, and whatever spare time I had, I tried to explore. But I always wanted to go back and go to Kyoto, watch the temples, the castle in the other island. Absolutely wonderful. I'll get to do it soon, hopefully. Now, if you remember when I talked to you about Ivory porcelain, I stated that it was entirely and exclusively dedicated for the export market of Europe. And in fact, you wouldn't find Ivory porcelain inside a Japanese household. But the next item couldn't be more Japanese. Now, I don't know about you, but when I think about Japan, few things comes to mind. The samurai, the geisha, the katana, the Japanese sword, and the kimono. Now, if like me you are a foodie, you might want to add sushi. And in fact, Japanese cuisine is probably one of the most sophisticated cuisine in the world, and a cuisine that I absolutely adore. As a matter of fact, there are more Michelin stars restaurants in Tokyo than in Paris. But let's keep the food on the side for the moment. Now, I want to talk to you about the kimono. So the kimono, the traditional Japanese kimono, changing design from men to women's, because the women's kimono has long sleeves that are folded, and within the fold, the lady can keep some personal belonging like an handkerchief or a fan, whilst the one for the men is not folded. So the man used to carry his little personal belonging in a sachet that was suspended over the kimono, called the inro. This traditional, normally rectangular shape of lacquer sachet where they would keep some tobacco and few other items. This particular sachet, called the inro, was connected through some cords that would go on the top of the sachet, of the inro, underneath a belt, some sort of like waistband that you get to see on all the depiction of the traditional kimono. The cord would come underneath, and on top of that belt that is called the obi, you would have connected as a counterweight another little object that the master would hold all the time and would sort of massage. That item that acted like a counterweight is the celebrated netsuke. You see, starting from the 1650s, the merchant class of Japan started to become more and more affluent and wealthy and influential, and they were looking for a way to display the status in a culture where rituals and status is absolutely of paramount importance. And so, starting from the 16th, 17th century, this little object started to be carved in boxwood first, and ivory later, and jade, and they become more and more sophisticated and more exquisite in their design. And that is what would signify the status of the merchant, who would not be allowed to wear jewelry and he would not be allowed to bear a sword. And in fact, here it is. This is my Japanese Netsuke that my grandfather Cesare gave me when I was 8 years old as a gift. And I took it with me everywhere and I loved it ever since. So as you can see, it's like made of ivory, it's like an egg that is cracked with a chicken side that moves. On the back you have like the mark and the signature of the artist who carved this wonderful little object that sits in your hand and is quite precious. And in fact, you can still see the two holes underneath which you would have like the cord, then will go underneath the obi to suspend the sashi that is called the sashi, that is called the inkroll. So this is just a wonderful little object that really is the masterpiece, if you want, of the Japanese culture and show how sophisticated that culture has always been. So now, I'll take you to a little personal story of mine. When I was in primary school, I went to these Catholic schools of the nuns of Santa Dorotea. And one day they asked the young little students, the schoolboys, to bring the following day a gift, a toy that was meaningful to them, and to do a little bit of a presentation. And so the following day, my fellow schoolboys brought little dinosaurs, little model car, little Lego pieces, some puzzles, some soldier. But you can just imagine the surprise when I got to present my Japanese Netsuke. The nun was absolutely stunned. Poor nun, little had she known about Japan, and she had never seen something. And me, being already the showman that I was from an early age, I was able to impress everybody. So much so that during lunchtime, my nun called some other nuns to come along and to get to see this wonderful little object that this kid has brought to school. And since those days, for many months after, I was known as the boy with the ivory egg. And this is the story of my Japanese Netsuke. Now, of course, if you like this content, don't forget to write a comment, to like, and to subscribe. Now, this and the Ivory cup is not the only item that I have from Japan. I have something else that I absolutely love and that I'm sure you will get to appreciate. Some original woodwork, woodcuts with watercolors by a celebrated designer and artist of Japan. But I tell you what, I will have to check what are the terms and conditions on YouTube, because those particular prints fall into the category of shunga, and the shunga are these incredibly sophisticated and detailed, and may I say graphic, pornographic drawings. Maybe that will get you interested to stick around and see when I get to present it. Ciao from Davide, the boy with the ivory egg.